Can't hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. This meeting is now called to order. Please rise. Pledge of allegiance.
With two flags of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are we in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Clara Brito Pereira,
Here.
Robert Vincent,
Here.
Michael Corso, Elaine Waxman, Commissioner Caridat Rodriguez,
Here.
Laritza Marrero, Miguel Borrego,
Here.
Maria Hernandez, Rosa Gonzalez, Zandy Aviles.
I don't believe that at this time we have any minutes for approval. Is that correct, Madam Secretary?
Correct.
Okay. So communication reports, administrative matters, any on the agenda? I don't believe so. Correct?
Correct.
Payments, resolutions?
None.
None?
Can't hear.
Escrow, refunds,
None.
resolutions?
None.
Thank you. Any miscellaneous on the agenda? Okay. Under letter A,
Correct.
board will determine the process to begin the preliminary investigation and examination of the master plan to determine whether it needs to be amended or revised. We don't have any applications, so we'll proceed with, I believe we have testimony from,
As you know, we were requested by the Board of Commissioners to proceed with the review of the master plan. In order for us to do that, we need to hire a professional,
microphone, I can't hear it.
which is the engineer and planner from Mazer Consultants. We have someone from Mazer to review what we expect to be the process, so we can make it as open as possible for the community. And I believe that before we call, and maybe we should call somebody from the administration. I believe that we want to address the board.
Yes,
As to the request for ours to continue with this.
that's correct.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, for the record, my name is Brian O'Reilly. I'm currently employed in the Department of Revenue and Finance for the town of West New York. I'll give you my education and background.
Well, can you be sworn in, please? Could you give us your...
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to testimony about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. I'll give you my education and experience. I have a master's degree in public administration. I'm a certified public manager in the state of New Jersey, a registered municipal clerk, and a certified tax assessor. I had experience in undertaking Jersey City's master plan when it was completed in 2001. We're currently, as an administration unit here, updating the tax maps, initiating a GIS system, and the administration has requested that we look into the master plan and hire a consulting company to go over the goals and objectives, have community meetings, report back to this commission, and subsequently back to the commissioners of West New York. I have 27 years of governmental experience in many facets. I was the business administrator for Jersey City from 2004 to 2010. I recently retired from there, and I'm working up here for the town of West New York right now.
And Mesa Consulting is the firm that we have contacted to begin this hire for this preliminary report.
Yes, Madam Chair, for the record, we did a little scouting around. We interviewed Mesa. We told them what some of the timelines were, what some of our goals and objectives were, looking at the last master plan, seeing that it's been quite outdated. I work in the tax office. The organization here, the administration, needs greater synergy as far as a master plan. We bounce people from the tax office to the building department. They come back. It's incomplete. Sometimes we like to tie all the loose ends together. Some of the other components of the master plan. Maser Engineering would be specifically speaking about them, as I am not a licensed planner. I do have some economic impact on the benefits of it, but I will not be testifying as an expert in land use or in engineering or architecture. I have sat on the Jersey City Planning Board for 3 years, so I am extensively aware of the policies and procedures that the planning board is required to make. And if you have...
I think we're okay with your background.
Okay, so a long story short, the business administrator and the administration, Mayor Roque and the Board of Commissioners asked me to introduce Mesa tonight. They'll go over the policies and procedures that they have outlined for reviewing and potentially updating the master plan. And without further ado, I will turn it over to them right now, folks. If you may, but the administration sees this master plan as a tool to tie the city together to updated zoning and some of the other extensive issues that they'll be discussing and investigating on your behalf. We'll leave it to the expert here now.
Okay, thank you.
Do we get to ask questions of this expert
No.
witness?
He's not an expert witness.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe that, Ms. Chairperson, I believe that we as the board are the ones who have to decide as to whether Mesa should be the company to do this. So I believe that we will need to take a vote on that.
Okay. Before they come up?
Yes.
Okay, so before we bring Mesa up, I think this board needs to agree whether or not we're going to enter into contract with them. So I would like to take a vote on that, please, a motion.
No one else?
No one else is here? No one else
Can't, I mean,
considered, or can you
they're gonna be
present?
the only
Doesn't
group.
that have to go up for bid?
I mean, who
I
picked them?
understand that what he
No, they-
explained.
But he's not an expert witness, you said, so why is his opinion expert? We should have a choice of, if we're gonna have like a town, aren't there other people? Or don't we get to question their background?
No, you
Like,
don't.
have they
No,
planned
you don't.
anything in this town, like Meridia? Excuse me, yes, they were?
No.
They were the
Mr.
consultants on that.
Chairperson, the board is the one that makes this decision.
Why you decided on
The
Mesa?
professionals are not to be interviewed by the public. It's this board that makes that decision.
Okay, I've been advised by the attorney that it is the board that needs to take a motion to have them come up and explain what their background is. So do we have a motion from the board?
May I say that we're going to listen to them? We're going to vote to listen to their presentation, to their reviews, to their studies. That doesn't mean that we're going to vote to accept it or reject it. Not tonight. We're just going to listen and be educated on what they've come across, correct?
That's correct. We're merely making a decision here to, an
listen.
RFQ went out, and I believe that the city has, they qualified and they've been paying. They qualified. I just want to clarify that we as the board are the ones who will retain them to conduct this study, because we are the ones, this particular study, the preliminary investigation and the master plan. We are not making any other decisions right now. That's the only one. I just want to clarify that they are requested by us to represent to this board the
findings.
hired.
Okay.
That's it. That's the only thing. And they already been vetted, and they do it. The city, the township, they go out to an RFQ, and they are qualified.
Qualified, okay.
And the public does not have any input.
So much for public input.
This board does not have jurisdiction to go out for RFQ.
No.
Okay, so what the attorney is saying is that this board does not have jurisdiction to go out for RFQs. They've been through that process already, and they're in front of this board to see if we're going to go ahead and allow them to review the plan, correct? So
Are
we're
they the
going to
only ones
listen
that were
to
vetted,
testimony.
that qualified?
The way I understand it is they went through the
We
RFQ
cannot,
process.
I'm sorry, we cannot have interruptions from the public at this point in time. You will get enough time later to ask your questions. Okay? Thank you. It's not the normal procedure.
Madam Chair. So it's basically what we need now, they're working for the city, and I would make a motion that they proceed with their review of the existing master plan and a re-examination report, which will lead us into a new master plan sometime down the line.
So I heard a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, can we take a roll call?
Clara Brito Herrera,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Michael Corso,
Abstain.
Miguel Borrego,
Yes.
Maria Hernandez,
Yes.
Robert DeVinci.
Yes.
We proceed to bring up representatives.
This written testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Could you identify yourself and provide us with your credentials?
Please speak loudly enough so everyone can.
Okay. My name is Joseph J. Layton, licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey, member of the Institute,
Microphone,
American Institute
please.
of Certified Planners. I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey since 1974. I'm a charter member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. I came to certification in 1976. I have over 40 years of planning experience, and I've worked in the town of West New York in 3 of the last 4 years, so I'm familiar with many issues in West New York. And yes, we did respond to a request for qualifications, and they were, I don't know how many firms that submitted, but I'm sure there were quite a few. And we were recommended by the Board of Commissioners.
And have you in your capacity conducted any investigations or been involved in any master plans in other towns?
Oh, yes, I have. Many over the years. But I would recommend the first thing that the board needs to do is to do a master plan re-examination report. The town's master plan was adopted in 1961 and it was amended in 1978 and 1986. And as far as I've been able to determine, there was a re-examination report which was done in 2001. The official land use law requires that you do a re-examination report at least once every 10 years. So we are overdue with the re-examination. I provided the board members with a handout, and on the first page it talks about what the master plan re-examination is. Basically, what you do in the re-examination report is the report reviews the major problems and objectives at the time the last re-examination report was done. So we'll go back to 2001 and see what the problems and objectives that were identified in that re-examination report were. Then we review how those problems and objectives have changed. In other words, what has changed with regard to those objectives that were in the plan last time around. Then we identify any significant changes in the assumptions, policies, and objectives which form the basis for the master plan and development regulations. In other words, is there a different policy or an objective that the town has now that it can 11 years ago? And then it identifies specific changes recommended for the master plan and development regulations. It also contains recommendations concerning the incorporation of redevelopment plans. And basically what the re-examination report does is it identifies whether we should proceed to do a new master plan or not. And I think everyone will probably agree with me. I think the conclusion will likely be that we should do a new master plan since it's so long since we did the last one. On the second page of the memorandum, I listed the contents of the master plan as listed in the municipal land use law, section 40, section 40.
Joe, so the question, just the last full master plan was done since 1961?
61, yeah, 61. It was done by Joseph T. Sierra, who published a famous book about planning, I think in the early 70s. I was interested to see he was an associate at the time working with the high school. But anyhow, there are a number of master plan items. First,
Excuse me. The other times that there were revisions made, were there amendments made?
very minor. So we have a statement of objectives, principles, assumptions, policies, and standards upon which the master plan is based. We'll be developing that with the board and following with input from the public. Then the next most important section is the land use element, which identifies where different uses are located, residential uses, commercial uses, etc. It has a housing plan, circulation plan, utility service plan, community facilities, recreation.
Is he being heard back there?
No, not being heard.
Suffice it to say there are many possible components in the master plan. Land use, housing, circulation, utilities, community facilities, recreation, historic preservation, etc.
We have known that we have a new member of city.
Sorry to say it, but no.
Don't you always-
What's going on here?
Realize
Just excuse us 1 second, just while we do some housekeeping.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
We're live, so.
Testing, everybody here?
Yeah, that's great. Go to the mic with her.
Do a little rendition.
Hit it, Blue Eyes.
I think did everyone a little bit better?
Much better.
Yes, on board.
Just give us a couple of minutes until the attorney returns. I'm sorry that you had to stop. Okay, I apologize for the small delay, and let's continue, please. Thank you.
Okay, it's better. Now, as far as the process goes, we need to do the re-examination report first. And this is in sync with the state legislation. That'll something I'll draft and we'll share it with the board. And the board will agree with whether or not things have changed and whether we should proceed to a master plan. That'll take approximately one month's time. So maybe at the next month's planning board meeting, we can have a draft for discussion.
So re-examination just looks at what exists now.
Right.
What exists in the master plan now, what exists in the amendments that had occurred since the master plan was drawn in 61, 68, whatever it was. And then makes a recommendation, yes, we do, or no, we don't need a revision of the master plan based on what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. It just looks at how things have changed. It doesn't make any recommendations other than we should do or not do a new master plan. Okay?
That's the first phase.
First phase. Then assuming we do go on to produce a new master plan, the intent is to have a lot of public input. We've been talking about having probably 3 public meetings for public input. Then it may be theme-based, one residential, one commercial, one on design parameters, something along those lines. So we'll break it up so that we have some focus at these public meetings. Also, we're thinking about doing a questionnaire, an online questionnaire that people can go on the computer and fill out the questionnaire. So that way we can ensure public input from people who cannot make the meetings.
The questionnaire that you put on the website that everyone can fill out, those who can't attend these meetings, that'll deal with all 3 aspects of those public meetings that we're talking about.
Yes.
It'll have input, and basically that can be input on any concerns they have over what goes on.
Yeah, there'll be a wide variety.
A wide variety of
Yes.
concerns, not limited.
Mhm.
And then you'll review those, as well as the 3 meetings you're attending to have with the public.
That's correct. Okay, and basically that's it as far as tonight goes. We're just kicking off the process tonight.
If, how long do you think it would take for the, after the preliminary, for us, for the meetings, if you have a ballpark, what do you think?
I would say probably in the neighborhood of 6 months at least.
Okay.
After re-examination.
After the re-examination.
So the re-examination is 1 month. We come in, recommendation 2 were not to have a master plan. And then the master plan somewhere around 6 months in that range.
Somewhere in there.
And during that 6-month period of time is when we will have the questionnaire developed, the 3 public sessions where the public can come speak and give us their ideas and thoughts on where this city should go.
Right.
Any other questions?
Yeah, do the members understand that there's a process where you can have your input on this? We want to make sure that you all heard what he said. 3 public meetings where people can come, 3, and for the people that cannot attend, there'll be a questionnaire on the internet. You can get into and, take stuff from that and interact, respond to questions. Right? Clear?
I think the questionnaire is a great idea, because not everyone can take time to come to these meetings. Some people are home, and have input from everyone is important. The people that come, it's good that they have a voice and be able to speak. And I think the fact that we're going to limit these meetings to categories, I think we'll get a lot more accomplished if we do, like you said, residential. You had some suggestions, residential, commercial.
Commercial.
I have a question. Mr. Lay, did you say that the master plan was drawn up in 1961?
Right. The original master plan is 1961, and it was amended in 78 and 86.
And so the re-examination was required like every 10 years.
Right.
So we haven't had a re-examination since '86.
I believe there was one in 2001. Unfortunately, the document doesn't have a date on it, but it has a received stamp on it. It says, October 2001.
Do you know if at that point it was recommended that we look into a new master plan?
It didn't make that recommendation. It basically said there weren't significant changes.
Wow. Are there any other questions?
Well, there's definitely big significant changes since '91. So I think I appreciate your expertise. I've seen you work before, and I look forward to moving forward with at least the re-examination report to see where we stand and get a better feel as to what should be happening going forward.
Yes, it definitely is overdone, well overdue.
And you say the re-examination is required every 10 years. So right now we're not compliant as far as that requirement.
That's correct.
I think that, are there any other questions?
Are you asking the public? Or are you
No,
asking-
I'm not asking the public, I'm asking the board members if they have any other questions of Mr. Lane. And the re-examination, that's the only thing that we're talking about here. We're not talking about a master plan or developing a new one at all. That has not been determined. What we're going to be doing here is going on whether or not we're going to hire this firm, Mazur, in order to look and re-examine what we have in place and give us recommendations.
I have the questions of the chair. When will the public be allowed to speak on this, on the re-examination of hiring?
We don't have anything yet from them. They haven't done anything. They have not been contracted with to do anything. We will be doing that.
Okay, aren't we voting on that tonight?
I'm working on the re-examination, yes.
Right.
They'll have 30 days as of tonight to give us back feedback.
Tonight is the beginning of the process.
The way I understand it, the re-examination report is what we're going to instruct them to do tonight. Now, the city's already hired them through the RFQ process, so we're not bypassing that. So what we're doing is we're instructing them to move forward with the re-examination report, which will then give us some guidance as to whether we should or should not do a master plan. Once that report comes back 30 days from now, that's when we'll spell out the criteria, that's when they'll develop the questionnaire, which will be put on the website, and they'll set the times and place, time and frames, and the limits of times for those 3 public meetings.
But how can you
Do we
hire
have
one guy?
on the process of hiring, because we have, according to the rules, it says in the planning board.
Okay, we cannot have the public speak out of order because our court reporter cannot document any of it. So we cannot have the process take place like that unless it's open to the public. And right now, it's not open to the public.
That's the democratic way.
And basically, they have this firm responded to the RFQ. They were retained as such. So, and they haven't done anything. They're going to start from today.
But how could you hire them when you haven't looked
All
at
right,
anybody
just so
yet?
that we have
Look,
transparency.
they're going to commence.
Just so that we have transparency with the process, I see that you all are here, and we do want to hear from you. You're not to question this board on anything because we do not have anything in front of us to respond to. But you can come up, and I'll allow that, to make a statement if you wish, before we vote, okay? No questions, statements. And you have to state your name.
What's the time limit?
We'll make it 3 minutes. Okay? Okay, you can.
Thank you.
State your name and your address.
Linda Kellerman, 6600 Boulevard East. What happened, I think last week, somebody emailed me old master plan documents, described the town, the characteristics and everything, and my recommendation for each of you board members, and and the people in the public, is to look at those documents and also, more importantly, try to walk around different areas of the town, in the waterfront, near Kennedy Boulevard, all over the place, as much as possible to see firsthand the town. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for your comment.
Los Puerto, 6600 Boulevard East. And I actually have a question on the process, because I'm looking at this zoning and land use administration book. So my question is, I'm sorry, are you the planning board attorney?
Yes.
Were you appointed by the board or by the governing body?
I was appointed by the board. I'm the board's attorney.
So the board appointed you, correct?
Not the commissioners.
Not the No. Well, it says here, again, and this is why I just questioned, and I'm not necessarily questioning Mr. Layton or Mazer. You know, I don't know anything about them at this point. I'm questioning the process, because this book says that it's the planning board, you guys, who appoint the consultants. And it's the board that appoints the attorney.
That's why we had a vote. Somebody made a motion to retain them for this.
That's not what you said. I mean, maybe I misheard, but what I heard was the governing body, the commissioners, the mayor commissioners, appointed Mazer.
No,
You guys are voting
We are
today.
appointing them
No,
tonight.
guys,
So you've all appointed.
Yes.
make your statement, and then you create a record. If you believe that the process is improper, you have your right.
Well, I'm asking you, I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I'm actually trying to figure out, did all of you actually look at Mazer and say, good firm compared to the other bidders who bid on this at an RFP, we want Mazer, let's all vote on it. That's the process I'm asking you.
For the record, I abstain from it.
You abstained from it?
Yes.
I asked for statements and not questions at this point. I think the attorney made a comment that you should state it for the record.
Okay, I'm stating it for the record. It's totally unclear to me, the process of appointing the consultant. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan Evans, 6600 Boulevard East, Versailles. I'm actually going to fantasize about what an ideal presentation about this meeting would have been, which would have left us much less confused. You didn't start out by saying that Mazer was appointed. Nobody explained what the essence of the RFQ was, how many people it was sent to, how many people responded to it, how many people made the threshold of qualifications that would have allowed them to be interviewed for the process. Perhaps Mazer was the only successful firm, but that's usually not the case. I'm involved with RFPs and RFQs all the time, in public sector and in the private sector. So professionally, and for the enlightenment of the public, it's really good when you explain fully and transparently what the process was. Also, I'm not clear who's going to set the goals for the whole planning, master planning exercise. If we're sitting on data that was originated in 1961, as my neighbor said, this city's an entirely different place. I'm concerned that there may be restrictions on how open-ended the planning process needs to be to fully address the state of this city as it's changed since 1961. And I wonder if Mazer has sort of jumped the gun by saying there will be three things sent out, that these are the issues that were going to be done in 6 months. I've also looked at the 2010 study that a class at Hunter College has done. It's 100 and some odd pages long that actually updates the analysis upon which they made some recommendations. I've worked on a couple of plans, not quite as thorough as that, but this is a very, very important exercise for this town at this time. And there's a lot of stuff going on in this city that makes the residents come out for this, because there's actually a little bit of mistrust here about how things get done in this town. So my recommendation here is that you all make it as open as possible, that everybody is preeminently qualified, that the process of decision-making is as transparent as you can make it, and that you determine with the public what the goals of the exercise might be, what the goals for this city might be, and that Mazer works for us and through you, our delegated representatives, to actually come up with something that really sets the future for this town. Thank you.
Possibly forgetting my first name, but HUMBERTO, ORTEDA, 6040 Boulevard East. I guess Rose and this gentleman here stole my thunder, because I had, but I have more thunder. I was going to comment on, or make a statement as to my perception of how the so-called consulting company, Mazer, was selected. As well, I was also going to mention the fact that the Hunter College study that was done in 2011 and that was presented at the zoning board, and that constitutes an excellent revisit of the master plan. I am hoping that there will be synergies and that that study will be used so that there will be some minimum cost savings here, and we can avoid renewing work and so forth. That's my first statement. The second one, I was going to do it in terms of a question, but I guess I'll put the question in a statement. I expect that when you set up these 3 or however many public meetings there will be to discuss the master plan, I would hope that you will provide prior meetings in order to provide input from the residents instead of just comments at the end. Because usually comments don't mean a thing in this town. So anyway.
Just so you know, the thought was that the 3 meetings would just be for input. This wouldn't be us. It would be the public giving input at those 3 meetings.
Okay.
In certain categories. And we just vaguely talked about what the categories would be. That's not cast in stone. We're trying to get as much public input as we can because we want that information.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. But the sense that I got sitting in the audience was that the 3 meetings would be scheduled once there was a reasonable document available from whoever does the study. That was what I get, the sense that I got.
We will make that determination of how many meetings we really need when we have determined that we need a master plan. We were not going to lock ourselves to 3 public meetings. That was the recommendation or, the statement that this board can actually have more meetings if they.
I'm not so much focused on the 3 meetings, but I'm focused on the process, on the contents of the meetings, okay? Because what I was going to get at, okay, in order to have productive meetings, you need to provide enough documentation and enough information to the public a priori, so that people can come here and, instead of us ranting and raving, we can ask meaningful questions and provide meaningful commentary and meaningful input. Otherwise, it's going to be the same circus that it always is at this room.
For clarification, this is a 3-step process. They have to provide us with, at least my understanding, the commissioner's understanding is that they have to come up with, within 30 days, with an analysis of what was.
I'm sorry,
what was.
I'm sorry, but what will that analysis, what will we have at the end of 30 days?
An analysis of, I'm stating what was. I'm talking about the old plan, a re-examination of what we have, based on what we have today and what the old plan was. That's what it's going to be. It's a preliminary report without anybody's input except theirs. Based on that report, we will have it in 30 days. It will be available to you. It will be available to us. And after that, there will be, we anticipate a number of meetings, when, as the chairperson stated, to make a determination, listen to the comments, so that they can listen to the comments, we listen to our comments, and then that's when they will come up with that presentation. The presentation, they are not going to come up with anything until we have whatever number of meetings.
Let me make sure I understand what you're saying. Let me rephrase it a little bit. Okay? there is, June 19th, okay, July 19th or thereabouts, there will be what I interpret to be a digestion of the prior 3 documents. This is what we had there. Hopefully,
To show it it's
it will not be 200 pages. It will be something that,
Hopefully manageable.
Exactly, okay. So then, at that point, okay, so this is what we have. Are you then saying at that point you will solicit input from the community?
That's correct.
Okay, and then after that, given what is there now, okay, and hopefully you will also consider the 2011 input from a study from Carnegie College. Save a little bucks. You want it, I have it on the master, on the memory stick here.
I believe that our plan that has, that we were talking about it, I believe that
You were
that
there
would
at the
be...
meeting?
Yes.
Good. Anyway, so then, okay, so today, somebody starts reading the old documents, we come up with the digested content of those documents, then we produce inputs on that, and then there will be the production of the real master plan. This is
The
what we
proposed
read.
master plan.
Correct, the proposed, good point. The proposed master plan, this is what we as expert consultants think ought to happen, or ought to be the vision for the town. This is what should happen on the west side, this is what should happen on the east side.
Based on the input.
Based on the input, yes, that's what I'm saying. Then what?
Then we vote on it. We, not we, the board.
Aren't you part of the board too?
No, sorry.
No, it's not.
It is not a voting member.
Okay, fine. You just advise us, right?
Advice.
The advice is you consent. Okay, how many on board? 1, 2, 3, 6. Even number on board? No other?
There's many.
I think your time is up,
No, those are my, I hope I didn't disappoint you. I tried to make my questions into our statements.
Very clear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your statement.
Joan Palermo, 6600 Boulevard East. I don't know what the answer to this is, but I would like to raise the issue as to the validity of, as to this board's authority to proceed with this preliminary investigation this evening. At the last commissioners' meeting in May, when this was voted upon, only 3 commissioners were present, the mayor and several other commissioners were absent. I understand they were at a fundraiser. When the vote was taken, only 2 of the commissioners voted in favor of putting this matter to the planning board. 1 commissioner voted against it. A question was raised as to the validity of that vote, and the matter was not resolved at the commissioners' meeting that evening, and to my knowledge, it has not been resolved since then. I did some research and could not find anything on what the voting requirements are for commissioners when most of them are not present. So again, I don't know what the answer is, but there is an issue as to whether this board even has the authority to proceed with this at this time. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Peggy Wong, and my address is 8550 Boulevard East. I'm from North Bergen, but the point is that I'm here tonight representing the Board of Trustees of the Hudson River Waterfront Conservancy. And for those of you who are not familiar with this organization, we are a nonprofit, but we are tasked by the state, specifically the DEP, to oversee and watch over the walkway, watch over the maintenance or lack of maintenance of it, and anything else that affects the walkway. Now, let me start off by making a flat-out statement that we have always regarded the walkway in West New York as a prime example of excellent construction, excellent planning, because it was done well before any of the developers were allowed to start developing their own individual sites. Unlike the rest of the walkway, where it's done in bits and pieces, and we had trouble linking everything up, here in West New York, and I guess it was because of your financing, you're able to do it basically all at once. And we have a very nice, clean walkway. And I point to it often to some of my friends in Edgewater when they have some complaints, and I said, look at West New York. So I'm saying this because I want you to know that we're not here as opponents, but we are here as admirers of your walkway. Now, the reason why I decided to speak tonight is that we are very concerned that there is a bill pending in the legislature right now to allow development on piers, existing piers. It is, in fact, one of the sponsors is the Assemblywoman from West New York, Assemblywoman Jimenez. This is a very controversial bill, and if it passes, I hope this planning board takes note of it, because the past master plan, which goes back to, we said 1961, has no bearing on what you look like now. And also, I don't want you to feel that, well, you've got the walkway done, so your homework is done. That's not true. If this bill passes, you're going to have a lot of developers potentially wanting to develop on a few of your piers, because I believe you do have 1 or 2 piers that are seemingly abandoned, but they're there. And it's all going to be awfully tempting for someone to want to come in and develop on it. And we will be there fighting every inch of the way against it because it's very unsafe. And we have piers up in Edgewater, the Promenade, and I think Independence Harbor is one, where we understand that there are structural problems on those properties. So yes, you can go ahead and build it, but be prepared 10, 15 years later to have massive issues. Because you're right on the water, and Mother Nature is treating us very harshly these days. So we have spoken out forcefully against it, and if any of you have friends who live at Riva Point in Weehawken, you will find out that during Hurricane Sandy, they're out on a pier. They were flooded. They were virtually an island unto themselves. One of their residents had a heart attack, and it looked like they couldn't get her medical help. I mean, she would have died. But there was a miracle, and they were able to get her off that island during Hurricane Sandy. So what we're saying is that development on piers is hugely dangerous. And if this bill in Trenton passes, and it's up for a vote, we think during this session, and as I said, your Assemblywoman is a sponsor of it. Tread very carefully, because we will be here watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Never give me a
Doug Gordon, 6600 Boulevard East. And I just wanted to talk a little bit more about why we're a little confused and why I believe that we're in danger of tainting this process right from the start. It's incumbent upon the board to appoint someone. That's what you're doing, right? You're attempting, you took a vote to appoint these guys Mazer. But in the beginning statement, your attorney said that Mazer has been, that the commissioners have voted, which we feel maybe came in right from that vote, but that the commissioners have now sent you Mazer as the consultants, right?
I don't believe that's what I stated. I stated that they had responded to an RFQ and that we were going to decide whether to hire them to conduct the study.
Okay, so that's
what my statement was.
So then you could theoretically have, you guys could
not hire them to conduct the study.
And have more people could be interviewed or looked at to be the project.
I think that's for the board to decide.
Okay, so as long as this didn't come from the board, because there's been periods where the commissioners have tried to usurp the powers that are dedicated to this board. For instance, this board is supposed to appoint not the commissioners, but this particular board is supposed to vote for your chairman, for your vice chair, for your secretary. I don't know when that vote actually happened here. I may not have been in the meeting. Okay, so we're just trying to be careful of not having commissioners usurp your authority on this board. Okay, so that's where the confusion came from. So I would think you would want to have quite a few looks and quite a few different proposals and different consultants on this. Okay, thank you.
Ferrero, 5206 Bergen Avenue, West New York, New Jersey. I just want to make a quick statement, and you've answered a few questions, but just a point of stating to the residents, the concerned residents that are here, that they can't ask no question. It's the whole problem, and it's the whole issue what makes them weary of everything that you people are doing. I mean, it makes you weary because you don't want it, and you tell us you can't come up here and ask no questions. That's the whole base of transparency. If you want transparency, and if you want the people of West New York to trust you and believe that you're going to do what's right and redevelop this town properly and listen to us, I mean, that's just like a disrespectful thing to say, we won't answer any questions. At the end of the day, you're here as public servants. You're here to, make decisions on our town. And if we, have questions, I believe we deserve that little bit of respect to get some answers. That's all.
Anyone else?
Richard Rivera, Executive Director, West New York Parking Authority, 224 60th Street.
I'm here on behalf of the West New York Parking Authority, in the capacity as the Executive Director. And as was noted before, the original plan was 1961. Must have been a very happening time in town, because that's about when the Parking Authority came to fruition as well. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary next year. And we encourage you to take this re-examination serious. We need to know as a parking authority, as an autonomous agency in town, where we are, where we need to be, where we should be heading. And a master plan will help us, it will guide us. Looking back 50 years, if you leave this chamber today and head out to our parking facilities, we are one of the largest vacant landowners in town. Our parking, our surface lots are in sorely need of upgrades. We need to know what those should be in conjunction with the community needs, in conjunction with the housing needs and parking needs. I encourage you all, when you leave here, including members of the community, to just walk through some of those lots, which I did right just prior to the meeting, and most of them are at 40% or 30% capacity at this time of the evening. Now, we see the need in different parts of the town for different parking facilities and different parking needs, and we've got a lot of input from the community, so we're very happy to have that. So we need more input, and I think that on behalf of our board, that a re-examination will provide us with some guidance so we know where to head. So we thank you and we encourage you to look at the re-examination. We hope that you vote in favor of it. Thank you.
You had an additional comment?
Yes, I wanted to respond to Mr. Rivera's comment.
No, we don't have not from the public like that.
Okay.
Thank you. You have another comment? I'll allow the comment, but no questions of the public, to the public. Okay, you have a statement? Are you so ready? These will be the last two comments? Okay, thank you.
I was a member of the planning board 4 years ago, and served.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't get your
I
name.
was a member of the planning.
I didn't get your name. Could you state that?
Donnie So Wade. And I was there when the master plan first came to our attention. We had the graduate students from the Long Island College came in, they presented us with their report. It was interesting, academic, but interesting. And I am very concerned with what's going on now, and I'd like to help any way I can. One thing I said, Mr. Layton, we used him a number of times in a number of cases, and always found him credible. That's Mr. Layton. So that if we use him, I'm sure he'll do a great job for us.
Thank you.
Brianna Bryceland, 6600 Boulevard East. I'm just going to make this short, and I just want to, it's just a comment that at all of these meetings, everybody's very concerned about parking and cars and parking. I am a huge believer in rapid transportation, not mass transportation, not buses that creep through more and more traffic, just increasing amounts of traffic, but rapid transit. You go to any great city in the world, and you'll see that there are accommodations for moving bodies from point A to point B, D, C, all the way to Z and beyond. And you don't have to get into a car. We can start with the city of New York, and we can go all the way to Dublin, Ireland, and the Lois in Dublin, Ireland, which is one of the most fabulous light rail systems that you're ever going to find in a small city. A small city. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and it moves people everywhere at a moderate cost. I know that this would probably have to have some sort of collaboration, for lack of a better word, with this great state of New Jersey over mass transit, but I would hope that this would be a consideration in the review of the master plan in moving great numbers of people quickly. And I thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. The public session is now closed, and we have one more matter to resolve tonight. I'd like to call on Ada Roque to come up and make a statement.
Hello, my name is Ada Roque. Fellow members of the board, Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, can everyone hear me? Yes. As everyone knows, I was appointed to the planning board, by the mayor and the commissioners. As everyone knows, the mayor is related to me. Madam Chair, with your permission and your blessing, I wish to enter my resignation from this planning board. For the sake of transparency, I think it's to the best interest of the town and to this board and to the residents of this town that I formally give my resignation for transparency's sake. I'm a little nervous because this is a great bunch of people that I worked with. The mayor, my brother, is a very transparent person, despite what everybody he has been my biggest mentor. Not only has he been my brother, he's been my mentor. He's been like a father, and he's been by what he has done and his transparency and his dedication. I do serve by that example. And Madam Chair, today I wish to resign as of today.
Sorry to say that.
And thank you, everybody, for this support.
Right there.
Okay, motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call. Thank you for your comments.
Anyone who doesn't want to return, stay.
saw you like a couple of months ago in the restaurant in Union City.
Yeah.
And I was killing myself thinking of where, and then I remember you're B-Judge's brother.
Yeah.
And I was like, coño, I killed myself for a while. And then I remember, and I go, shit. And I see you all the time around like town or whatever. Yeah. You working with these guys? Out of the office, yeah? So how do your brother, man? Good, right? Good, everything's alright. Cool.